It's been a while since I last talked about manga, so let me fix that. I don't have anything to say, so we're getting right to the point with the first manga. That being Kimi to Kote Koi Ninaru, or in English, with you, our love will make it through. This manga takes place in a world where humans and beast people coexist, although saying they coexist is heavily overselling it because they literally have a giant wall separating the two. But they are doing a sort of student exchange program to improve relations between the two. In the name of this Rosa Parks, or should I say, Rosa Parks. You know what, for you foreign folk who don't know, Rosa Parks is the most famous civil rights figure known for combating American segregation and busing. I refuse to let you ignore one of my very rare good jokes. As I was saying, Rosa Parks' real name is Tsunagu Hidaka, and he sits next to our protagonist, Mari Asaka. But the thing is, Hidaka isn't actually full beast folk, rather his mother was a human. Usually that means he doesn't have to deal with his, feral instincts, for lack of a better term. Except for the fact that he finds himself undeniably and unbearably attracted to Mari's scent. The main focus of this manga is the relationship between our two leads, and I do like it. It's clear that they like each other, but those feral instincts I mentioned do threaten to actually harm Mari. But there's also the supporting cast, the most important of which being Yukihiro Ida, who occupies a very weird spot in the story if I'm being honest. He also loves Mari, creating a soft love triangle kind of thing, but at the same time I don't feel like it's actually big enough of a focus to really be a love triangle. Like, not for a second do I think Yukihiro actually has any chance, but he does actively hang out with Mari and stuff. I do like how he and Tsunagi actually do seem like friends despite sharing a love interest, so they feel more like real characters rather than archetypes. They hang out and even cheer each other on in things like the school festival. So far, I think he's the only outside party who knows about Tsunagi's feral instincts, and you know what? Since I am talking about it, I'd be remiss not to mention how this is like the horniest manga I have ever read. And do you realize how high of a bar that is? I've read Paru Itagaki's whole bibliography, and this still tops it. Giggity. There are so many moments where it reads like the editor is standing over the author with a rolled up newspaper and just whacking them over the head with it before things get too spicy. The most fascinating piece of this manga is actually the writing behind the discrimination and the divide between beastfolk and humans. But I'll save that for when I speak about the next thing. For now, just know that this manga has been officially translated, and it's still ongoing in fact. There's like 10 volumes out in Japanese and more on the way to be translated in English. Future Fury here, so guess what? I literally just found out that there's apparently an anime coming out for this manga. It's not even distant, it's airing next month. But you wanna know something funny? As I was reading With You Our Love Will Make It Through, I felt nostalgic, or maybe it'd be better to say I felt deja vu. It's not just the art style, but also the world building. That wall between beastfolk and humans. I've definitely seen it before, but where? Oh god, I remember where it's from now. It's called Hana and the Beastman. For starters, I need to let you know that this manga is full-on 18+, and I really do mean full-on because it does have full-on nudity. The manga evidently has 2 different covers, and you're seeing the safer work one. The series isn't a prequel to the first one we talked about, rather it came out first and takes place, I want to say, let's ballpark it at around 20 years prior. The protagonist of this manga is Hana, a human who ends up stuck on the Beastman's side of the wall. Thankfully, she's saved by her love interest, the Beastman Sana. The two of them are fairly basic characters, with the most interesting thing about them being how much and how often they get down. Like seriously, whatever issues affecting the future certainly doesn't exist here because oh my god. I can't show it for obvious reasons, but just trust me when I say it happens at least a double-digit number of times. Hana is a good person, and so is Sana, although I do like how Sana does have a backstory that makes it more interesting. And makes it clear that his infatuation with Hana and attitudes towards humans makes more sense. This manga is fairly short, at only like 17 chapters, but they're really interesting and that interest is hard carried by the world building. The area behind the wall is described as self-sufficient for the most part, creating something akin to their own culture. Like, they mention that cheating is rare because beast folk can just smell if someone else's scent is on their partner, something that Hana can't do. They have their own police force and whatnot, but it's the stuff around discrimination that really fleshes out the world. Stuff like humans coming in once a month to randomly pull a few beast folk for testing. The fact that beast folk are forbidden to leave— wait, no, you can't see me doing air quotes, hang on. Forbidden to leave unless it's to risk their lives in wildfires and disasters to save humans. And then there's the fact that beast folk are understandably weary of Hana at best or outright dislike her at worst. All of this adds some conflict to the story, actually shoring it up when the protagonists are rather bland. Something that the following work, with You Are Level Make It Through, kind of lacks. Overall, Hana and the Beastman is a manga I enjoyed, just make sure you're an adult before you ever try reading it. For our third manga, we'll put it aside for a quick moment so I can tell you to like and subscribe. We're getting real close to 10k, so it'd be really cool. Back on topic, the third manga we have for today is called Animal-Eared Girls Happy Meals, no relation to McDonald's. Or in Japanese, Kimomimi Shoujo no Shiwase Gohan, no relation to Dragon Ball.
Hey, it's me, Gohan!
The manga follows Wasuke, the wolf beastman who finds himself in the care of the half-wolf child Momo. But this is more complicated than just taking care of a child, especially since Hitomodokis like Momo and full beast folk have a key difference. Beast folk are perfectly fine eating raw food, so they don't even cook. It's not uncommon to grow up and live your whole life without learning how to cook. However, Hitomodokis can't eat things like raw meat, so now Wasuke and Momo have to learn how to cook together. It's a very cute concept for a cute series themed around cooking. Wasuke and Momo are very strong characters that help carry the series to the end. Wasuke is a good person, but he's also super naive, undertaking responsibility without fully knowing what he's doing. And Momo reminds me a lot of Hana from Spy Family, where she's well-intentioned but doesn't have the social skills or know-how to interact with those around her. And they also have complex backstories to add goals and interest in the long run. For one, Wasuke used to be a Hitomodoki like Momo, so what happened there? And what happened to his sister? And why did Momo suddenly turn full furry for a moment? If the immediate plot is about Momo and Wasuke cooking, then the long-term plot is about learning what went on with Momo and Wasuke. And it's made all the better for both halves of the plot being really good. Even the supporting cast is full of characters worth following. First, there's Buchito, Wasuke's friend from work who has little patience for Wasuke's antics. He lives in the real world and understands the troubles that Momo and Wasuke will face and thus comes in clutch even if he doesn't want to. And then there's Nakoyama and her daughter who ends up becoming Momo's friend. The story even keeps its tone light with comedy to make it a nice, easy read. And the art is really unique, using these lines to add texture to the fur. The art was actually the reason I picked this manga up to begin with. I wasn't even sure if I was going to include it in this video, but I'm glad I did. Now, let's get to the question that I'm sure is on everyone's mind. Why the fuck did the author put so much effort into drawing this guy's ass? The fourth manga we have is very short, so I can't spend that much time on it, and it's called Okami Papa to Musemune-chan, or Wolf Papa and Daughter. To sum up, Wolfman adopts human daughter, and hijinks ensue. The main driver of these hijinks are the fact that it's considered improper for beast folk to let their animal nature out, but his new daughter is just so darn cute. Like, it's genuinely amazing. I don't know who's cuter, the dad or the daughter. However, the manga really does have a lingering sense of heavy tragedy, especially in regards to Mimi. There's a reason she was up for adoption after all. The main conflict in the story actually revolves around Mimi's trauma with her new dad accidentally setting it off. There are also notes of discrimination, particularly in letting beast folk adopt human children. You know, I didn't talk about it in the last entry, but that was also there too, with Momo being half beast folk. So that makes 4 different manga that somehow have discrimination as a main theme, and I didn't even do that on purpose. Okami Papa to Musume-chan was very short and a very nice read. You won't find it in stores, so don't even bother, but now I am beginning to wonder. Will we bat 5 for 5 on making the theme of this video furry discrimination? Let's find out with the last series on our list. It's one I stumbled upon by accident, and it's called Batsuichi Kitsune to Tabi Gohan, or in English, The Divorced Fox and Her Travel Meals. This manga is centered around Berry, the titular divorced fox. She lives a nice life, traveling from place to place with her giant peach turtle, but things get very complicated when an old man crashes through her ceiling, especially considering some form of past trauma has left her with a fear of men. The old man's name is Ozzy, and as thanks for saving his life, he decides to pay for the damage with the things he hunts. There's not many chapters of this manga out right now, at only 4, but I think this manga is probably the best out of all those on this list. The manga has an expansive world that it uses to great effect with its focus on cooking, letting us see all these fantastical ingredients as they're being made and prepared. It even goes further than just the ingredients and into the world's furry inhabitants, like the odor neutralizer not just being useful for Ozzy's hunts, but also useful if you're going to be hanging around canines. And then there's the fauna they hunt, like the Yoriguma, and how they can turn into stray Yoriguma under different conditions. A process not dissimilar to how crickets turn to locusts when there are too many in one spot. And I really do love Berry as a main character because she's so wonderfully endearing. There's an interesting bit of commentary on her trauma about how she views herself as useless. She's not useless at all, but she doesn't see it that way. Berry is so desperate to prove to those around her that she has value that it's also how she finds the strength to assert herself. Ozzy is the second most important character, and from a writing standpoint, he had an opportunity for the manga to add some nice action to its flow. But he also contrasts wonderfully from Berry, where she has the patience of a saint, he's rather quick to resort to violence. But at the same time, he is old and wise, whereas Berry opts to believe people based on faith, he does it by coming to a logical conclusion. And just like how Berry has her divorce looming over her, there's also hints of him having more of a past than we thought, with characters noting how he's changed. The art is also standout too, with these large, sweeping, fantastical visas that stand out as their own thing. And the monster designs are unique and creative, adding to the lore they give the animals' habits to make them feel like real, actual animals that inhabit this world. It's this fantastical world filled with furries and animals that don't exist anywhere in real life. It's a great, unique manga that I super recommend you check out. It's a crime it doesn't have an official English translation. The video is over, so you know what time it is. Time for our Patreon shoutouts. For 3 stars, you have special thanks to Choron, Sky King 64, Asen, Wera, Gamma Phase, Zora Chow, Venomous, Riley Boom 78, The Good Old Days, and Estasi. For 4 stars, you have McCoy's Law and Audley Awe, The Good Night Gala. And for our Super D2 special 5-star shoutouts, we have Hodari Lion, The Days to Remember. Thank you for watching, do be sure to like and subscribe. As always, this is your host Fuuri signing out.